this table where we laughed and talked all day. So long ago, love was offered. The joy of being together made you want to stay. Take me back.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Life with Nana. I'm Nana, and I'm so glad you're here today. Today, we're going to be making another thing to go in our series of dry mixes that you can have at home. So I used to buy Biscuit from the store until I found out about this recipe. Nowadays, I tend to make my biscuits with just self-rising flour and whipping cream. But this is a really good mix to have on hand because you can use it for other things. Anything you would use Biscuit for, you could use this mix for. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put 3 cups of flour in our bowl here. And we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. And then it calls for 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And my recipe calls for butter. But to make this shelf stable, I'm going to use shortening. And even then, I would put this mix in the refrigerator. I would put it in a mason jar with a lid and write on it what it is, and I would just keep it in the refrigerator. Because I have had things go rancid, and I don't want to take that chance anymore to do that. So 1/2 cup of, and I'm going to stir this up first. Get this all mixed around. So essentially what we did here is we took all-purpose flour and we turned it into self-rising flour. All right. Now you can take a pastry cutter, something like this. You've seen those that are little loopy. I don't know what they're called. But I'm going to start out just by cutting this up into this flour. And then I'm going to get my hands in here and really get it mixed good. My hands are clean. So this is in a series of dry mixes that you can have in your house at any time. But I'm going to show you a neat little trick that you can do if you want to have ready to go biscuits and you don't want to have to make them up each time that you are So I'm going to show you a neat little trick where you don't have to make biscuits every night if you don't want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this mix, we're going to turn it into biscuits, and we're going to cut those out, and we're going to flash freeze them on a cookie sheet, and that will make your life so much easier. Then you can just, once they're frozen, put them in a Ziploc bag, and when you get them out, put them on your pan. Before you turn your oven on, let your oven preheat, just like you were cooking any other biscuit, and you're going to put this pan in the oven. Super simple. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure that this shortening is crumbled around in this really good. And I'm going to go ahead and make all these up, and that way Papa will have biscuits in the freezer, and he won't have to mess with making them. And you can say, well, why not just buy biscuits at the store? Well, you could do that. But if you're trying to save money, this is the way to go. And right now, we have something that we're working on that we want to get paid for. And so this is my little way of helping. We're going to have all the mixes and all the things. This is the reason I work hard when I'm canning, freeze drying, and doing all those things. It's my way of contributing, you know, and that way if something happens, you know, you can live off of your food stores for a few months. We could live probably, if we had to, 6, 8 months, a year, something like that, with all the freeze-dried stuff that we have. And some people might say, well, I don't have room to put all that stuff. I have 2 metal shelving units in my kitchen. Does it look, make it look really pretty? I think so. Some people might not like it, but I like it. Everything's where I can see it. I also have gotten comments, well, you should really keep that stuff in the dark. You're right. It would be better if it was in the dark. But we go through things pretty fast, so I'm not worried about that at all. All right. Let's get our little silicone mat out here. I'm going to get a little bit of flour. My biscuit cutter. Wash my hands. We've got our pan over here, and I need some milk. I need a little more. That's why I love this milk. I was almost out in the refrigerator. I just walked to my pantry closet, and there it is. I love that. Now, I really like this milk. A lot of people, well, does it taste like regular milk? Well, it does to me. I mean, I don't know what you think it might taste like. It's just ultra pasteurized so that it will be shelf stable. Now, if you were using this and you were going to make some biscuits, 1.5 cups of the mix that we made, and add 1/2 cup of milk. But I'm just going to do it all because I want to make biscuits for the freezer. And I'm not really measuring this. I'm just getting it to a point I know that it's a wet, shaggy dough that I can roll out. Or pat out. I will pat this out with my hands. You see, I put just a little bit too much milk in there. So I'm just going to add just a tiny bit more flour. That's not going to make a difference. I'll put me some flour out on my mat. We don't want it wet. We just want it a damp, shaggy dough, I guess. All right, so we're going to pour this out. And I'm just going to start out by putting some flour on here. so that I can work this dough. We just want to keep rolling it, patting it out, turning it over onto itself, because we want these biscuits to be flaky, light and flaky. And you want to pat it out to a little less than about a half an inch. That's Papa coming back. He's closing the garage door. All right, let me wipe some of this off my hands. And we're going to get our baking sheet here. And I'm going to start cutting these biscuits out. See how pretty? We're going to flash freeze these, and then that way Papa will have biscuits whenever he wants them. You could also add, if you wanted to, when you're mixing this up, you could add a little garlic, a little cheese, if you were making these for supper meal. Okay. Thank you. Papa was telling me he's going to change out the fixture on our shower. We bought one of those rain things. I did not like that. It's hard to wash your hair, in my opinion. Now I'm just going to take this and kind of wad it up together. And we're going to put it in the cookie cutter and pat it down just like that. And that will give us our final biscuit. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 biscuits made from the whole mix that we made. Now you could probably make 4 or 5 with the other. So let me get cleaned up and we're going to move on to the next one. Alright, so now we're going to make some waffles. And you can take the dry ingredients of this, put it in a jar and label it just like we did all the other ones. Today I'm going to be making waffles because I want some in the freezer for me and Papa. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of salt. I have that mixed together right there. And I'm going to give it another good stir. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Mix in between each addition. And then 2 tablespoons of white sugar. And I do have my waffle iron heating up. Now, this is the stage where you would stop if you wanted to put this in a jar and label it waffle mix, and then you would write on your card attached to add 2 large eggs, 1½ cups of warm milk, and 1/3 cup of butter, and a teaspoon of vanilla. So this butter is room temperature. I mean, this milk is room temperature because I just got it out of the pantry. So I need 1½ cups. And I need to put that in the, now that it's opened, you'll have to put it back in the refrigerator. We're going to add 2 large eggs. Now, a lot of people like to break their eggs in a bowl. If you do, then that's what you should do. I'm going to add our 3rd cup of butter. I'll get all that out of my way. And we're going to start stirring this together. And then we're going to add our vanilla. I'm going to lay it over here so I don't forget it. Now, if you wanted to do this and make a savory version of this, you could add garlic powder and cheese. That would make a delicious one. You could also use half flour and half cornmeal and cheese, and that makes a delicious waffle. I'll get my eggs broke up down in there. I should have whisked them a little bit. Y'all can learn from my mistakes. So probably is a good idea to put them in a bowl and whisk them together. Now I'm going to add some vanilla. And you guys know I just measure with my heart. All right. I think that's about a tablespoon. That's what we're going to go with. And this is my favorite vanilla. And I find this at Sam's Club. And it's called Magnolia Star Vanilla Bean Paste. It's not quite a paste, but it is thick. And you can see the vanilla beans, which I like. It's been a while since I've used my waffle maker. Again, this came from a yard sale, so this one didn't have any instructions with it, which is okay. We'll just kind of go with the flow around here. So I'm going to use probably a little less than a cup in here. We're just going to raise it up, and I'm going to give it a spray. Probably going to be more like a half a cup. We'll just see how it looks when I put it on there. You know, the first couple are not perfect usually. It looks like it's going to take a cup. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put this down and roll it over. And it'll tell me with the green light when it's ready. Plate to put these on, and I probably need a fork. And so anyway, these mixes that we've been talking about over the last 2 or 3 videos, they are super things to have in your pantry. Now you may not see these all in a row. These are going to be published in the month of November, and so it depends on what I have to go in between them or what I have to go with them. So hopefully you'll enjoy them. You could also add a little more sugar, a little cocoa powder, and make these chocolate, and that would be good. Y'all know how I love chocolate. And in between, when things are cooking, I like to put things away, get things put up, and Then I don't have a big mess to clean up, and I really like that. That is smelling wonderful. You get just a tad bit of maple syrup, not much, just so I can have a taste. All right, it's saying it's ready. We're gonna turn it back up. Oh, look at that. Look at that, guys. Look how wonderful that one looks. I think we did a great job. And I have some of those little small ones that you can make sort of like Eggo waffles. But I just wanted to get this one out today. Get it turned back over. The light should go off. Maybe I should have let it sit there for a minute. Oh, that's good. So good, y'all. My light did go back off. So that's good. It'll come back on and tell me when everything is done. While we're waiting. So good. So I'm going to make these up and then I'll bring you back. All right, we're ready to get the last waffle out. They look fabulous. Unplug that. All right, so we have our waffles and our biscuits made. Isn't this wonderful? I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today as we get a little bit prepared for the coming month and have a lot of great food for Papa when he's in the mood for a biscuit or a waffle, or I want one. And I hope you just enjoyed coming along with me. Remember, Nana loves you. Remember, I'm so, so proud of you. And you always have a friend here. I'll see you on the next one.